A gatekeeper to the insider's insider, Brian Hopkins has been chief of staff to Cook County Board Finance Committee Chairman John Daly and now wants to be an elected official himself as alderman in the 2nd Ward. The sprawling ward has an open seat and 6 strong candidates. I'm Mike Fouché, publisher of Aldertrack, and this is our Meet a Chicago Candidate series. So tell me, Brian, why do you want to be alderman?
Well, Mike, first of all, you're right. We do have 6 strong candidates in this field. And one of the things that sets me apart from the others is, as you mentioned, my government experience. But in addition to that, I've been a community leader in my neighborhood, Streeterville, which is now part of the 2nd Ward for 16 years. So what I like to say, it's not just my 9-to-5 job that qualifies me for this office, but it's all the work that I've done outside of my career in politics. I've been a community leader. I've held a number of positions in our neighborhood association, including president for 2 terms, and I've been a CAPS volunteer and a court advocate. Basically, I've donated my time because I believe that we have to do something to make our community a better place. That's the way I was raised by my parents, and that's why I'm in this race for alderman today.
So do you consider yourself an Emanuel or Fioretti or Wilson or Garcia supporter?
No, I don't. I'm going to be an independent alderman, and I'm prepared to work with whoever the mayor happens to be. I do support Mayor Emanuel, and I think he's done a good job, and I think he'll probably get reelected. The other candidates all have something to offer too, and we'll have to see what the voters decide. It's really not up to me. It's up to all of us as citizens of Chicago who the next mayor is going to be. But the issues in the mayoral race, I think, are very similar to some of the things that we're talking about in the 2nd Ward. It's on the minds of voters throughout the city. We're talking about crime. We're talking about the pension situation. We're talking about the budget deficit. These are things that we're all addressing, whether you're running for alderman or you're running for mayor. And if I'm elected, I'm prepared to work with whoever the mayor may be.
So of all of those various big citywide issues, which of those would you say is your top concern?
I would have to say crime right now. That seems to be on the minds of the voters more than anything. With our fiscal situation, probably a close second. But when you talk about the budget deficit and you talk about the pension crisis, it's almost an abstract feeling to people. They think it exists and they know it's serious. But when you talk about crime, that hits them right where they live. If you don't feel safe in your own home, if you don't feel safe on the street right outside of where you live, nothing else is as important, including matters like the fiscal situation. So crime is really what the voters want to talk about more than anything.
So what needs to be done? Has Jerry McCarthy done a good job?
I think in some ways he has. I know he's got some problems with some of the aldermen when he appears before the city council for his annual grilling. It can get a bit heated, and certainly he's made some mistakes.
Should it be more than annual?
Well, I think definitely as we go forward, I think we need a closer relationship not only between the city council and police leadership, but the community and police leadership. The police need credibility in order to do their job, and they don't have credibility in some neighborhoods. They do in others, but that's a problem for the police. They're here to protect and serve us. That's the oath that they take. We have to trust them. We have to believe in them. We have to believe that the crime statistics that are being reported have some credibility, and there's a disagreement about that. So we really do have to address that. I think Superintendent McCarthy has done a good job, but there's definitely room for improvement there too.
So the 2nd Ward is a sprawling, perfect example of gerrymandering. What can we do in order to make sure that something like that doesn't happen again?
Well, first, I've already said this at numerous candidate forums, and I'm going to stick to this. If I'm elected alderman within the first 60 days of my term, I will introduce an ordinance to begin the process of reforming the way that we draw the ward boundaries every 10 years. We have to do that every 10 years as a result of the federal census. I understand that. We're not going to have permanent ward boundaries.
Would you take it out of the hands of the city council members?
I absolutely would. We'll have to take the pen out of the incumbent office holders. This last round has dramatically proven that they will draw the map based on political reasons, based on protecting incumbents, based on political expediency, without any regard to what the community wants and without regard to natural neighborhood boundaries. It's quite easy to do that if you have a panel of independent, neutral experts who can draw the map, keep the population in balance, protect communities of interest, and have boundaries that make sense. I will support that. We may need legislation in Springfield to do it too, but the process starts in the city council, and I'm going to introduce an ordinance to begin reforming that process. So when we redraw the map, and it's going to happen, sooner rather than later, we'll have another census coming up at the end of this decade, and we'll draw a new map right after that. So the time is now to make this change, and I'm prepared to do it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed it.
You can learn more about the Brian Hopkins campaign and 183 others by subscribing to our email newsletter at aldertrack.com, by listening to the series on Rivet Radio, or by subscribing to this series on YouTube. Thank you very much. More great stuff to come.